Welcome back to the Vault. Hi, I'm Mike Ricola, where our goal at the NonDē Filmmaking Legal Lab is to democratize your access to legal education so that you can understand and know your rights and keep them protected. Well, you did it. You spent years grinding on set, managing a shoestring budget, calling in favors to finish your indie film. You finally sign a distribution deal, you pop the champagne, and you wait for the movie to hit screens. And then, crickets. Here's the nightmare scenario. Distributors acquire hundreds of films a year. Sometimes they realize they don't have the marketing budget for yours particularly, so they just bury it. Your passion project becomes shelfware. Without a reversion clause, they own your movie for the next 10 to 15 years, and you are legally prohibited from selling it to anyone else. Your investors are furious, and your film is dead in the water. You need an escape hatch. You need a rights reversion agreement to pull your movie out of a dead deal. So before we dive in, we got to go over our quick disclaimers. As usual, the NonDē Filmmaking Legal Lab is for educational purposes only. We provide this as a starting point and a drafting tool so that you can be educated in your rights as filmmakers. Second, there is no attorney-client relationship established between you or the lab. Third, jurisdictions differ. These are drafted on basic United States contract law principles and common industry practices. What works in America won't work in England. What works in New York won't work in California. So always have local attorneys review your paperwork. 4, use it at your own risk. We assume no liabilities for any errors or omissions. And then finally, some quick usage notes. The shelfware trap. Like I said, distributors acquire hundreds of films a year, so sometimes they realize they don't have a marketing budget, so they just bury it. Don't let your film become one of these. The release definition. You cannot just say fails to release. A shady distributor will upload your film to a hidden Vimeo link and claim they released it to avoid a reversion. Section 1 is where you explicitly define what real release looks like, spending money, how many screens, where it's going. And then finally, the ghosting fix. When a distributor goes bankrupt and breaches a contract, they usually stop answering emails. Section 5 gives you what's known as an attorney-in-fact power. If they ignore your demands to sign your copyright back over, this clause legally allows you to sign the copyright transfer on their behalf. So let's dive into the agreement. Okay, here's your basic recitals. Basically, the date, who's involved, the name of the distributor, the title of the picture. This is an agreement that you're going to want to have attached at the same time as your distributor agreement, but you're also going to want to reference that original agreement. So like it says here, producer and distributor previously entered into a certain distribution agreement dated this day. But now these are the rules that we're agreeing to for the rights reversion. So 1, condition for rights reversion. The rights are granted to distributor under that original agreement shall immediately revert back to the producer under the following events. Failure to release. So again, this is where you want to specifically define what release means. I like to put in a commercial release and define it with the number of screens, with the number of markets, and how much print and advertising will be spent. If you leave this ambiguous, they will leave this ambiguous. They won't spend extra money. They'll just hope that your movie has a fan base, and that it will fund itself. Next, you have failure to pay, which if they fail to pay, bankrupted insolvency, and then material breach of the original agreement. Section 2 is the effect of reversion. So again, it's an automatic transfer and it becomes an unencumbered right. So again, this is crucial. Distributors sometimes take out bank loans using catalogs of the films that they have bought as collateral. This clause ensures that the bank who they might have given a loan to can't seize your movie if the distributor defaults on that bank loan. And then termination of distribution means the distributor shall have no further rights to distribute it. So delivery of materials. When a reversion event occurs, you're going to want everything back. And this basically states what you're going to get back and how quickly. Survival of financial obligations post-reversion receipts. So basically, in the event that funds trickle in after the reversion hits, they need to hold them in trust and then transfer you to them within a certain number of days. And then number 5 is the distributor agrees to execute and deliver to the producer further documents reasonably necessary to effectuate the terms of this agreement, meaning copyrights, producer rights, anything like that. And then the attorney-in-fact is if the distributor fails to execute such documents within a number of days, then the producer themselves can claim those rights back. So do not ever sign a reversion or distribution agreement without this. If the distributor goes out of business, stops answering emails, you need to use this clause to sign the copyrights back to yourself. Finally, notices, you want a place for them to go. They're generally going to be the proper address that is in the original agreement. And then last but not least, our miscellaneous, which is our governing law, our entire agreement, and severability. So like I said, this is your basic rights reversion agreement. It's always smart to have attached to and signed at the same time as your distributor's agreement. It's how you stop predatory distributors from burying your life's work. So your next steps: download the template. The link is below. Define the release. Never accept a vague terminology. Tie the reversion back to the P&A hard numbers. And then 3, secure the ghosting fix. Do not hand over your master files without an attorney in fact power in writing. Stop hoping that they will release your movie. Secure your escape hatch. And it's time to get back to work. Have a great day, everyone.